Welcome to another Bright News discussion. And I'm here today with my good friend Jovani Patterson. So, Jovani, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing well, brother. How you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. I wanted to get you on today because something very explosive happened yesterday on
This-
TV. And I wanted to get your take on that. As we had Zelensky, here at the White House to meet with President Trump, and the meeting didn't. Um, I guess it didn't go as planned, right?
Man, Zelensky tried to put on a show in front of the media,
Hmm.
and I think it backfired bigly,
Hmm.
dare I say. Um, and like Trump said, Zelensky has no cards in this. President Trump was very clear on that he wants to stop the war. I mean, he stopped the dying, let's say.
Hmm.
But what Zelensky's position is that he wants to stop Putin. Um, he doesn't care about stopping a war. He wants the war to continue until quote unquote we stop Putin. But you're bringing in the United States, who's been funding a lot of this with no skin in the game from Ukraine, for example. There's nothing that they're offering in return. And Zelensky walked in thinking that that was the same, kind of attitude he could keep. But he got rude awakening. This is not the Biden administration. He got
Yeah,
a really rude awakening. This is not the Biden administration.
yeah. Trump, Trump, don't tell us what we're gonna feel.
Yeah, man, come on. Like,
Yeah.
because he's in no position to dictate any of that, right? I mean, you're a guy that's begging the U.S. for money, and you've lost half of it, and you're saying, well, you're gonna feel it. No,
Right.
like, and I think I sent something this morning, but uh, Ukraine started all this. It's it's
Hmm.
almost like it's almost like playing football or playing any sport. It's always that the second person that gets the flag, right? So
Hmm.
someone can instigate, do something at the bottom of the pile, and then when that other person retaliates, right, that person is the one that gets the call, gets the penalty, or what have you. So in this case, I do believe, I'm starting to see more and more that I think Russia is the one that's getting the penalty, right? They're the ones that's looking like are perceived to be the aggressor when Ukraine was at the bottom of the pile. Yeah, I
Yeah.
used to play football, man. So as a running
Yeah.
back, and I was a decent running back in high school, right?
Hmm.
And the people don't want you to be on the field, right? Like when you're a decent running back or somebody, they want to hurt you, they want to sideline you, so you're no longer
Yeah.
a threat to them, so to speak. And
Yeah.
so what people would do, they tackle you, then they start grabbing you, like grabbing your nuts and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So you like, what are you gonna do when
Right.
someone's doing that to you?
Right. Right.
Right, right. And that's what Ukraine is did. Like Ukraine's like attempting, like at the bottom of the pile, attempting to like cause a scene, and they've been successful in causing the scene, and the world has seen Russia kind of retaliate. So now the Russia is like the aggressor. They're the one that gets the flag, right?
Mhm.
But now I think when you start to see all this stuff unfold, right? Zelensky's coming in here. Well, first off, the Biden administration was just trying to play nice, and they got everybody on the side of supporting Zelensky because he's trying to maintain democracy and all these things. Um, and so you got this kind of media push to support Ukraine, and Biden just kind of went along with it. But then when you sit down and evaluate both sides, like President Trump has done, and President Trump is like, hey, I'm not for Putin, I'm not for Zelensky. I want to get a deal done and have the bloodshed stop. But
Yeah.
Zelensky's not seeing that.
Right.
Zelensky is like, well, how do we keep things continue? How do we keep getting money from the American people? And you see him, yeah, I'm not sure if you watched the whole interview, but you
Hmm.
see him, he was sharing the pictures of people, I think some of the prisoners or what have you. And that's
Hmm.
an attempt to draw in the emotionalism and people, because people buy emotionally, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to get Trump to make a buying decision of, hey, let's just keep sending money to Ukraine. Let's
Right.
not worry about what's going on. We'll figure all the other stuff out later and let in Putin, I'm not Putin, but Zelensky's mind, this is the way to stop Putin. Let's just keep getting money. Let's keep
Yeah.
putting people on the front lines. People keep dying, and eventually we may
Yeah.
stop Putin. But that's really not the interest right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did get to the part where, like, Trump is like, look, man, or JD Vance is like, you guys have made all these attempts to, you know, um, stop this war, and you haven't achieved anything. It's just more people keep dying. It's like what, in the millions now or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that
Yeah.
have been killed.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And I read that article you sent me this morning where, it's like, it talks about how, you know, Trump and JD Vance, they knew that Zelensky was going to use, that sort of, sympathy ploy, with the American people, and the American people are going to be like, oh, it's so sad what's going on over there and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I even think that a lot of Americans are tired of that too. They're just it's like we've been dealing with this for what now? How long has it been?
3 years.
3 years? Yeah,
Yeah.
and before that, I don't even think I don't even think a lot of people knew where Ukraine was. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And
Right.
never they don't know the history of, like, Eastern Europe and stuff like that. I mean, I don't.
So
Um,
we have a young lady on our show. She's actually Russian, on Pop and Politics,
okay.
and she talks about kind of the history, um, of what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, and
Mhm.
and quite frankly, a lot of Ukrainians were inviting Russians in to protect them.
Okay.
And the reason why is because there's a lot of Ukrainian Nazis, right?
Okay.
And there's a lot of killing done inside of Ukraine. Ukraine is killing its own people. So, in
Wow.
a lot of senses, um, the Ukrainians were actually inviting Russians in for protection. But and this other part is kind of what gets me about the media, right? If Trump, especially at the end of 20, at 20 in 2020, if Trump did the things that Zelensky did, right? Um, he'd be hailed as the worst. I mean, he's already hailed as the worst, but he'd be they'd attempt to. I can't even say what they would attempt to do because they've already done all these things.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like attempt to jail him, kill him, like whatever.
Right.
Um, but Zelensky has canceled elections.
Mm,
He's jailed his political opponents,
okay.
and he's silenced any media that talks against him.
Wow. Okay.
So, and this is
It's a straight up
the
dictatorship.
yes.
Yeah.
So
That's not, yeah. That's
so
crazy.
this is a guy that the the Democrats and these liberals now are hailing as the symbol of democracy,
Hmm.
and we should protect Ukrainians
Hmm.
because Zelensky um, is going to be suffering by the hands of Russia,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So it's
That's
I
sort
mean
of a,
it's kind of
yeah.
it's called it's almost it pulls out the hypocrisy which we've been seeing, especially with Doge and the way
Hmm.
things are going on in government. But it's just
Hmm.
another point of pulling out the hypocrisy of people really not understanding the things that they're supporting. Right?
Hmm.
I don't know one person that would say, "Yeah, we want a dictatorship."
Right.
Oh, unless it's Zelensky. No, we
Right.
want
Right.
that
Right.
dictator.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see more people in America flying around with Ukrainian flags
Yep.
than American flags. I saw Amy
Yep.
Klobuchar,
Yeah.
Amy
Yep.
Klobuchar, a member of our U.S. government,
Hmm.
wearing Ukrainian flag outfits and gear and things like that. It's like,
Hmm.
who are you representing?
Right.
And people are claiming their allegiance now to this dictatorship,
Hmm.
and it blows my mind. And then when you see Trump actually try to talk to both sides,
Yeah.
Yana brought up a great point on the show last night on Pop and Politics.
Hmm.
When you want to get a deal done,
Hmm.
you're gonna have to talk to both sides.
Right.
The Europeans, and what Zelensky is expecting everyone else to do is to leave Putin out of the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to peace? How do you arbitrate a deal?
Mm-hmm.
How do you resolve a conflict unless you bring in both sides?
Right. Right.
And that is the big challenge the media, Zelensky is having with this whole thing is that, well, Trump's talking to Putin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how else do you get a deal done?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody, like you were saying, everybody looks at Russia as the aggressor because of, probably its geography, the fact that it's
Hmm.
such a huge country and
Yep.
everything. But I always tell people, geographically, most of the population doesn't live, they live in the sort
Yeah.
of western part of the country because the eastern part is nothing but, it's snow. It's Siberia,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody lives there. And I think that like the article you sent me here this morning where he was talking about how Trump is trying to keep he said that Ukraine joining NATO is a no-go. That's
Yes.
never gonna happen because that would force the United States if Russia does do something, or whatever to Ukraine, then that would force the United States to have to act in Ukraine's interests,
Yep.
more so than it is now, having troops
Yeah.
on the ground and everything, and with Trump, in a lot of ways, he keeps telling the Europeans in the West, he's like, you know, we protect you guys for so long,
Hmm.
since World War II. You know, we're not doing this no more. You guys need to do for yourselves. He
Yeah.
telling it to Germany, you know what I'm saying? He's telling the UK that, and it's like y'all gotta, you gotta stand up for yourself. You know what I
That
mean?
should be the theme. That should be the theme.
Yeah,
Become independent. Be
yeah,
self-sufficient.
yep,
Right? That's like the theme of that's probably I don't know if that's the Trump cabinet theme this year because,
yeah,
especially with all the cuts to, to everything else.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got to do for yourself. You you
right.
you have the skill and that to me that's a more of a biblical principle, right?
Hmm.
If a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. But
Yeah,
now we've gotten in a position where government plays God and just feeds everybody,
yeah,
regardless if they work or not.
yeah,
But so we're, to me, it's a simple principle.
yeah.
You have to be able to use your God-given skills, talents, right? Because if now, I mean, think about it, man. If now, if government is providing everything for you, you no
Mhm.
longer acknowledge your God-given rights.
Right. Yeah,
You no longer acknowledge your God-given capabilities.
yeah,
You're then subject to the government in which you're in, right?
right.
And you know that's what Trump is really, I think, pulling out in a lot of
Mhm.
ways in this administration. And in general, like what we're seeing is that use your God-given abilities. You don't
Mhm.
need me.
Mhm.
As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, I am a hindrance to your progress
Right.
if
Yeah,
we keep this same level of dependence.
yeah,
But people do like to play on that, right? Well,
yeah.
you've been supporting us for so long, and now you're just going to pull the rug out from under us?
Right.
No,
Yep.
no. Well, no, it's a floor there still, but
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah. Yeah.
go build your own.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah. You need, and I think, yeah, what the rest of the world has sort of just what do they assume
Mm-hmm.
the United States is gonna always, be there. And it's like, okay, well, Russia's this big aggressor, the big guy in the room. We need another big guy in the room, to counter that or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, you know, I think with Trump, he's like, look, we may be the big man in the room, but we're not doing this. We're
Yeah.
not fighting. We're not about to get
Yeah.
tussle with Russia. You know what I mean? And like you said, Ukraine, picked at Russia, and I remember some someone was telling me, I don't know if it was one of my friends or whatever. But they were talking about this particular region in Ukraine called like
Hmm.
the Donbass or something. Have you ever
Okay.
heard
Yeah,
of
I'm
that?
not familiar with. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's like there's a particular region where there actually are a lot of Russians, like ethnic
Hmm.
Russians who live in that part of the country,
Yep.
right? And the Ukrainians, I mean, the thing about it is they're so similar to their culture and their language and everything is so similar,
Yeah.
The Russians will call, I think the Russians call Ukrainian language Little Russian or like Little Russian language.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, it's like, okay, Putin was saying, oh, well, our people are being attacked, over there. So, and I guess in the beginning, it was like there were parts of Ukraine that used to be a part of Russia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, look, I'm not going to allow for you guys to attack my people, our people.
Hmm.
And, if we really want to get into this, the land that you have now actually belongs to us. You know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's mhm,
Yeah, that goes into it, man.
mhm,
But I think, going back to the other point about the whole kind of NATO thing,
mhm,
right? That article that or the post that we sent that we were reading this morning,
mhm,
um, it made a great point, right?
yeah,
Because Trump is in the negotiation
mhm,
and trying to play, find a solution that works for everyone,
mhm,
and he Trump said numerous times in that session is that I'm looking out for the taxpayers because you're
mhm,
receiving all these American taxpayer dollars,
mhm,
right, to fund this war. So and there's no security on the money, right? So the other European countries did it in form of a loan, but
yeah,
we Americans just been writing a blank check
right,
over there, right?
yeah.
So Trump is
And this
trying
is
to
this
get
is
some.
American. This is a that money is coming from American taxpayers, isn't
Yes, yes. I mean,
it?
government doesn't make money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the
That's
only way
crazy,
that
man.
to get that money is from the American taxpayer. So the American taxpayer has been funding Ukraine through a large portion of this, and there's no security on that money. So Trump is saying, "Hey, let's you have some rare earth minerals and things that could be useful, particularly in AI and new weaponry and you know power and energy and things like that can be useful for the advancement of technology, for our country and then for the world. And if you start building mines, if Americans start building mines and things like that in Ukraine, for example, that means America has interest in the country. So if Russia does attack or does anything crazy,
Yeah,
right, it's in the American interest to
yeah,
protect, right? So
yeah,
there's a built-in protection from America with
right.
us digging and drilling over there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
But the other part of it is if Ukraine, joins NATO, right? You have all if Russia, I mean, Ukraine goes to war with Russia, then we're now in the beginning phases of a World War III,
yeah,
where because we're in this NATO agreement,
mhm,
we have to go to war
yeah,
with a country like Russia, and then
yeah,
someone like China has to take sides in this, and
yeah,
they're going to side with Russia.
yeah, yep,
So
yep.
now we're again into World War III,
Right, right, yep, yeah.
right? So so the thing is, and this is what it shows that one, Zelensky is an actor. He's not
Mhm,
really interested in making a deal.
right,
Um, I mean, he may be now when his own people
mhm,
um start calling him out, or he actually may disappear.
mhm,
Um, but the fact of the matter is, right? If this doesn't get done, um, like yeah, we are on the brink of World War III, but it's all in Zelensky's hands now.
yeah,
Um, and America will make a decision again, I guess later. But
yeah,
I figure it'll be the right one.
yeah.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I mean, um, what do you think we can sort of expect? I mean, I know you're not, you're not a fortune teller or anything, but what do you think we could expect to see probably in the next, well, this month, going on? Like, I hope we don't. I mean, I feel like Zelensky is probably gonna um, accept the deal
Hmm.
because he really doesn't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like America, Trump is like, okay, we're not funding this no more. And you
Yeah.
got a bad attitude. So I'm really we're really not going to help you. So
Well,
yeah, I mean,
I think I hope Trump Zelensky does the smart thing and accept the deal. But I think he showed on the world stage, to his people, right?
mhm,
But again, this is a guy who's canceled elections.
mhm,
A guy who jails his political opponents, and a guy who suppresses opposition media.
mhm,
So the reality is from that perspective we may not see much they'll put Zelensky in a good light. I mean, even some of the US media has been attempting to put Zelensky in a good light because they
yeah,
only play clips, like small clips of the exchange, right? They play the 10 minutes of the heated exchange, but if you watch through the 50 minutes, numerous times Trump is saying we want to stop the bloodshed.
mhm,
The way to get a deal done is having multiple people at the table.
mhm,
What's happening needs to stop. We have interests here. It's going to help us. So having Americans in Ukraine, helps protect Ukraine itself.
yeah,
But the thing is that we want to stop people from dying.
yeah,
Um, and so I don't know if that their people are seeing that same message, right?
mhm, mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
But I do think other part of this, man, is a lot of the European leaders were kind of emboldened, like trying to embolden Zelensky to kind of pull this stunt.
mhm,
Um, so it's a FAFO moment again.
mhm,
In we'll mark this down in history, but
yeah,
um, I hope, again, I hope Zelensky makes the right decision because that he just has to check the box.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
um, and but I think Trump will just continue to stand strong.
yeah,
Um, he will do the part that we need to do, but outside of that, it's not going to be anymore.
yeah, yeah. Okay, the last thing I want to ask you, man, and this is more about uh America, and we're in close to tax season and everything. What do you think about Trump talking about getting rid of the IRS? If he, do you think that even possible? That would be crazy if he could do that.
I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely possible, but
Yeah.
I got to think the IRS is just it's a collection agency, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
um it's technically not even part of the government.
Right.
It's a separate separate partner entity, kind of like the Federal Reserve. We think this is
Mhm.
a government agency, but it's a private bank,
Private
right?
bank. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
so the IRS is a collection agency, puts it pretty much for the private bank. So I think it's overall good, right? And again, it goes back to the founding of our country, where the freedom to your God-given freedoms are what's more important. The freedom, to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness rather. And um, government has largely now gotten in the way of many of those pursuits. Where now we're working, the first quarter, first 3, 4, 5 months of the year to pay the government,
yeah,
right? When you kind of consider how much your checks are and how much you actually have to pay,
yeah,
the first 3, 4 months of the year you're working to pay the government.
yeah,
That's not conducive to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's
yeah,
burdensome.
Right.
right?
The
So I
whole
think
point of the Revolutionary War, right? It's like we don't
right,
want to pay taxes, man.
right. And when you, yeah, man, when you look at the amount of taxes we pay, first you got your federal level, then you get your state and local. Like people are spending 50, 60% of their incomes, and I'm not talking about billionaires and like they're spending lots of their money to pay taxes,
Right. Right.
which hinders time with your family, time, join the things that you like to do, your personal creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the butterfly effect of this is what's more important,
Yeah.
with things like eliminating the IRS, eliminating income taxes, those
Mhm.
type of things. But again, the questions, the left and the liberals are, well, how will we
Yeah.
support the homeless? Well, go out and support the homeless.
Yeah. 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 Charity. Yeah.
Like just
Yep.
go do it.
Yep. Yep.
There's nothing to it, right? And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I always say, right, the first government is home.
Yeah.
If you know how to handle your government, and if a home is broken down or what have you, you have your community.
Yeah.
Um, if community is broken down, generally you have the church,
Yeah.
right? The church, church is generally supposed to be there. And then in this new age, I would say kind of the nonprofit pe pieces, and
Mm-hmm.
then at a last resort, it should be government. But
Mm-hmm.
government is now put in front of everybody,
Right.
right? In front of, being a parent, in front
Mm-hmm.
of the church, in front of everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we no longer realize the level of responsibility that we have, not even just responsibility, but level of capability that we have in our own communities, in our own homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just putting power back in the hands of people,
Yeah.
um, and refocus, and shifting the focus back into your neighborhood, your own front step,
Yeah.
is the right thing to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. What's that? There's an old uh gospel song, sweep around your own front door, before you try to sweep around mine or something like that. I forget the song, but
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
you know. So, all right,
Hey.
brother. This is, we gonna see, man. I'm I'll be turning the TV back on and we're like, you know, breaking news.
I don't know.
Trump
Just
told somebody to shut up.
Trump put the smack down on Zelensky yesterday, though. We
Yeah.
got to find that. I might need to do an AI clip on that one. The when Trump was on WrestleMania,
Uh-huh.
or
And
who was he? He was fighting somebody, but he was
was
in
it
the
Vince
ring.
McMahon?
Vince, yeah, I think so. Vince
Yeah.
McMahon, but they
Mhm.
need to put the do the little uh face joints. Look,
Oh
Trump could
yeah,
be
yeah.
himself. Trump could be himself in the video, but then
Yeah.
bring it,
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
bring
That'd be crazy.
it. Somebody's probably already done it, but
Yeah, yeah.
just thinking.
I bet you Tim Black is probably thinking about that right now. Tim Black. You know what I mean? That's my man. Yeah.
Well, how about to check him out?
Yeah, yeah. All right, brother. Well,
All right, man.
we'll have more news to talk about hopefully next week when we
Absolutely, man. Let's
get
let's
on.
let's stay tuned, man.
Okay. Sounds good, bro. Thanks for
All right,
joining me.
absolutely.
All right.